Welcome to the Freedom Blueprint Show, a podcast about creating the lifestyle you want through your small business. Drawing on their experiences starting and running multi-million-dollar small businesses, three friends, John, Ryan, and Gabe, discuss how to have a business, but more importantly, a lifestyle you love.
All right.
What's up, guys?
John.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
You're driving today. What are you doing?
Just got a little errand that I have to run. That's about 4 hours away, so I will be in the car for quite some time.
I love it. I have this deal, John, that I've just kind of set this as a rule in my life. I will never go on a road trip for more than 6 hours.
I think that's a good benchmark. That's like a good cutoff point. Yeah, I feel like up to 6 is kind of not too bad, but then after 6, it just gets to be like a real drag and gets like exponentially.
Yeah, you missed us in Tampa. I drove to Tampa and John was there. Did you end up moving to St. Pete?
I did. Yeah,
you did?
I'm in St. Pete now I signed a 7-month lease.
Nice.
So I'm going to be here for a while. Yeah.
So it sounds like John met a girl in St. Pete.
Oh, it sounds like Ryan needs to come to St. Pete because that's going to be the easiest way to film our podcast in person.
Let's do it.
I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, everything's open down here too.
It's about a 3.5 hour drive for me. So I'm definitely going to be going up there.
I just got kind of transitioned into our topic today. I was on a really cool show that talks about money, and we just happened to be talking about money today. Speaking of that, I as part of the show, they invited me to go have dinner with Kevin OLeary in Miami. So maybe when I do that, we could all meet up.
Nice. You look like money today.
Thanks, man.
Let's talk so today we were going to talk about we're going to do something new. We had planned to do a book review today, actually, which was John's idea. And we are going to be talking about a book that we all read called Your Money or Your Life. Author is Vicki Robin. If you guys are looking, this is the actual book here. Your Money, Your Life. 9 steps to transform your relationship with money and achieve financial independence. So let's talk about it, boys. What you guys like about it? What are some of the takeaways? What are things you're applying in your life from it?
Yeah. So I thought was interesting too about this is that it was written like a bunch of years ago, isn't it? Like, I think it's like 30, 40 years old, something like that. So it's actually, it has a lot of the same as like the FIRE movement. You know, the early kind of retirement movement where they try to live very inexpensively.
Right.
But it was actually like before all that. So yeah, I guess just goes, it was really kind of ahead of its time, I feel like, in a lot of ways, which I kind of find interesting.
Yeah, like the real author, this lady, I guess, revised it or whatever, or was based off some seminars that they used to give, but the original seminars were being taken place, like I think it was like in the 70s or something, or the 80s.
Yeah, I think it was quite a while ago. And you know, you see the dated part of it is
like the treasuries when they start
at the end.
Yeah, when they start talking about the U.S. treasuries and stuff.
Yeah, getting like 7% return, like T-bills or some like,
T-bills.
Man,
that was awesome.
Those are the days, man. Those are the days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I found it overall to be sort of like a more conscious and aware approach to money. Like bringing more intentionality and more awareness, like what you spend money on that actually gives you real satisfaction and is like in alignment with your values, and what things you spend money on that aren't.
Right.
And it helps kind of, instead of just being like, just kind of budget yourself, it kind of says, well, spend money on the things that are in alignment with you and what your values are and that you really get a lot of value from. And then cut the spending on the other stuff.
Right.
Where it's not really going to even have a negative impact on your life. So I hadn't actually really come across that idea before. So that was my kind of biggest thing I thought was pretty cool, was that.
How about you, Robson?
Whew. So it uses the word life energy, which is it's a term that isn't just easily defined when you hear that word, right? And you and I had a really good kind of pre-talk with me having gone on that show about money, just what is money. And I think it's a subject that, you know, I kind of look at money in the book, kind of the controlling aspect of money. It's like the ocean. if you think about it. Have you ever thought about it that way? Like the ocean can control you in a moment, and then you could also have a lot of fun in the ocean and kind of control the ocean and vice versa. And I kind of got that, like that energy of water is very similar to money in my life.
Mm. Yeah, I like the concept of the life energy. I was actually, I think I don't know if we talked about the book in one of the last shows, but there's a book by Cal Newport, who's the author of Deep Work that some of you may know about, but he wrote a book called Digital Minimalism. And he has a section on the book where I actually did the exercise, and I thought it was very valuable, where he talks about, I don't know if he calls it life energy, but essentially it's a minimalist concept. And the concept is, don't just look at what something costs you from an actual dollar standpoint, but look at how much you have to give to get that. So as an example, if you're,
right,
it comes down to knowing what your hourly rate is, and which is step one. And you have to really, get clear on what that is and have the data to know what that is. And for entrepreneurs, it's harder to figure that out than it is for, a W-2 person.
And what I liked about the book is it talked about, it kind of took it another level that I haven't heard anyone take it yet. And it's really the net of that, right? Or really maybe adding, like, how much are you spending on commuting? How much are you spending on dressing nice to be able to have that job and get ahead in your life? Like it added in those extra factors that you may not be thinking about as you're chasing money.
Yeah.
There's additional cost as you chase money.
As you chase it, right? And so once you know your dollar per hour, you can then figure out how much time are you giving up for that expense, right? Versus just looking at the cost side of it, which is cool. Because when I did that exercise months ago, I was like, man, I'm like, if I have to give up more than 20 hours a week of my life to meet my needs, then that's like a problem, It shouldn't have to give. I feel like I shouldn't have to give that much. And she touched on a little bit. She touched on a little bit of evolutionary biology of, our ancestors. And, that's pretty much how we've been wired for hundreds of thousands of years. Most people only worked a couple hours a day of just real work. And the rest of it is spending leisure and spending time with family and friends and doing things that you enjoy.
You know where I struggle with that is, and my dad has told me this, and don't take that as you guys have to believe it just because my dad told me it. Like, don't feel bad disagreeing, I guess. But he's 90 years old and he still goes to work almost every day. And he said all his friends that retired are all dead. And I've heard that from other people that, like, when you retire, you go downhill pretty fast. Like, that's where I struggle with that concept of we shouldn't be working that much and retiring. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, she talks about it in the book, right? I don't know if you read it, but she talks about the difference between what you do for money versus work, right? And she defines what work really is.
Right.
And that's, and I thought that was a great concept.
I'm asking what you guys think about it.
Well, I agree with the concept. I think that you should work to the day you die, but the work is different than your paid job. Like, and she has a clear distinction. If you can get, I think personally, she didn't talk about this too much, and John, we had talked about this on a Facebook post the other day, because you had posted on Facebook about this kind of this framework. I think it was like a 1 through 6 step process of where you should, when you start and where you should get to financially. And I had input something in there where within those 4 to 6 steps, I felt like if you can get to the point where your work and what you do for money actually align with each other and are one and the same, I feel like that's amazing. I feel like that's really the spot to be in.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really good point. My post was basically like the journey to full financial independence, to the point where you don't have to do virtually anything anymore and all of your living expenses are covered, which we've talked about a lot, over the course of the podcast, starting with you work for someone else, you save money, you start a side hustle, the side hustle grows into an actual business, you grow the business to the point where you can remove yourself out of it and you've saved a lot of money, and then you invest that money in passive cash flowing assets, hopefully passive. And then when the income gets to a certain level, you're done if you want to be. And then Gabe said, and made a good point, which I agreed with after you said it, which is, ideally all throughout that and then the last step was actually then giving back, helping others the way you were helped. But Gabe was sort of like, ideally through that whole thing, what you're working on, your businesses and what's generating your income is actually something that is like your purpose, that like something you really just intrinsically find like valuable and that really like fills you up all along the way. Whereas for me in my journey, it really hasn't been that. I mean, it's been engaging and interesting and challenging, but it hasn't filled me up. And so, I think, Ryan, to your point, or to what you're kind of saying, Gabe and I aren't saying to retire. That's clearly doesn't make sense. We want to work, I think Gabe and I both, until the day that we die, like Gabe said. But we want to work on stuff that really we're passionate about, and that I think certainly for me, that has an impact on others.
And I feel like you're there, John, don't you? Like you don't have to be doing these commercial deals that you're doing now. Like you really could stop if you wanted to and live a good life, but you're doing it because you're passionate. You're trying to reach more goals. You're enjoying it. I kind of feel like that's what you're driving to go do that right now, right?
I am still kind of driving forward with the commercial stuff past, like you're saying, the point that I would really have to. And I think for me, it's like, I'm so cautious that I want like twice as much as what I really need and have a little bit of runway as well if my lifestyle increases or I like get married or something and my living expenses go up. Like I just want a little more runway, and I'm in a really good position right now at this moment to do that, which may not exist in 2 years. So I'm just kind of like taking advantage of it. I really probably shouldn't be. So it's not really a passion thing for me. It's just like I want to be safe. I have a good opportunity, and I'm willing to like push a little bit for another year or two. And that also, I think, when I make sure I really don't have to worry about money, I think I'll come at my coaching and mentoring stuff I want to do from such a more pure place if it really isn't at all about the money for me. I'll still probably charge money, but if I'm totally well taken care of, I can come at my real life's work, I think, from a better place.
But isn't it nice? Like if the deal, I don't know the deal you're going to right now, but if the deal falls through or doesn't go through, like it's okay. Like you're going to live tomorrow and you're going to eat tomorrow. Like not everybody's in that place. And that's a really good place to be at in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I really, like you said, I mean, I could definitely stop and live my exact same lifestyle, just like you, and have, no problems whatsoever. I don't have to do any more deals. So, I'm just kind of taking advantage of an opportunity. I really probably should already be switching over to more of like the coaching, mentoring, impact stuff that I think I'll do till I die pretty much. And is my real like life's kind of work. But yeah, I'm just being a little extra cautious.
John's life's work. I like that. That's a good phrase.
Yeah, dude. And the kind of like Gabe's saying is like that 3 hours a day thing, which is kind of maybe evolutionarily, maybe it was 2 or 3 hours a day. We're like hunting and gathering or whatever we're doing. I mean, we're just living. Like I'm trying to cultivate more presence and just joy in just fucking being alive, basically, where I don't need to do anything. I don't need to get anything. I don't need to do shit. And I'm happy and I'm fulfilled and I just feel really good. Right. So I'm trying to cultivate like being a certain way at this point, as opposed to doing more things or doing a certain thing.
And for those listening that aren't there yet, like it's okay, in my opinion. I'm curious what you guys think. Like it's 100% okay to grind and sacrifice to get to that point. Like you got to start somewhere. You got to work for somebody. You got to put in the time. You got to show up early. You got to stay late. Like I think sometimes these subjects go down, in my opinion, go down this wrong road that like you should just be able to work as much or little as you want and enjoy your life, and money will come. And I just don't think it works like that.
No. I hate the word grind, honestly, man. I personally just don't like the word. For me, I've always, I'm not a sprinter. When it comes to work, like if I do something, I'm committed for the long haul, and I just look at, all right, what's a momentum or what's a pace that I can keep up with and that I can enjoy and that I can keep doing, like regardless of what happens. Because the moment when I hear grind, for me, that implies like I'm doing what I don't want to do in order to get X. And the problem with that is, from my perspective, is that I think you had posted something the other day on Facebook, similar, Ryan, where you were like grinding is not hard. You're like, grinding every day without getting the result is hard, you know? And that's kind of the same thing. And it's very likely, or it's very possible that you can be grinding and not getting the results that you want for whatever reason. You're not in the right market. You're just bad timing in what you're doing. You're still learning, whatever the case may be. And then you're hating your life throughout the process. And
I'm okay. If I was mentoring a young kid, I would give him that advice that, you know, you're going to have to sacrifice. And it's some of the advice I got from my mentors, like, you're not going to have the boats and the cars and the things that you see your friends having, because you're going to sacrifice all of that, and you're going to still be at work to get to that next level. And those guys will never get to the next level. So to me, that's what grinding is like, I would prefer to be out at the lake with my friends, but instead, you know, they're out there at 6 a.m. I'm going to be at work at 6 a.m. working, and I don't want to get to that next level, but I have to be able to get ahead. And to me, that's what a definition of grinding that I just personally think there's too much of like anti-grind society right now. And I think some people just need to do that to get ahead. I don't, like you said, Gabe, like a long-term, if that's what you're doing and you're ever getting the result, that sucks. Like, you need to do something else.
Yeah. I mean, regardless, I still think you need to sacrifice no matter what, at every stage that you're in. And I think that the bigger you get, or the more successful you become, the harder it is to make those sacrifices, right? Like, perfect example, you know, I moved into my new apartment recently, and I haven't got a TV in here, and I like it. And I've been asking myself, like, do I want the TV? Occasionally I'll hop on the laptop and watch a little movie or a video or whatever, but it's like, no, I'm fine with the inconvenience or the sacrifice of not having the TV for the extra thinking time and space that it gives me to either read, to journal, to meditate, to work, whatever it is that I want to do, but it creates the space for me to do that. So that in itself is a sacrifice, right? But there's a lot of things that we have to learn to say no to in order to keep growing. I remember when I first started building my business, I had a full-time job, and I was working 40 hours a week at that job, like anyone. And I knew that this job wasn't going to take me to where I wanted to go. So I had to get out of there. And I was like, well, how do I do that? So when I started this business, I said, you know, I can come home from work and I can grind till 10 o'clock at night, but that's just not me. Like, I'm tired when I get back, and I want to spend time with my family. I want to have dinner with my wife and all this stuff. So what I found enjoyable for me was waking up at 5 a.m. and I would get up at 5 a.m. every day. And from 5 to 7, I would fully focus and do deep work for those 2 hours. But I loved those 2 hours. Like, it felt great having those 2 hours of time. And that's something that I could continue to do for a year or 2 years or 3 years with no problem. Like, that wasn't going to burn me out in any way, shape, or form. And it worked. And it took me about a year to get out of my job, but that jog was easy for me to maintain, you know?
Yeah. I think that makes sense. And
so
I mean,
what advice would you give to somebody listening to this, that money is more of a, so we talk about energy and drain of energy, right? We've talked about that with a lot of things, tasks we do, but money could be energy for you, and it could also be a drain on your life. What advice do you have for somebody that is working and grinding and just, they're not seeing the result, and money is more of a drain than it is energy?
I think they should do the exercises on the book that they outline. So one of the exercises that they make you do, which I did, and I'm sure you probably do this, Ryan, but they make you set up a graph to track all the money you've made in your entire life, income-wise, and chart it year to year. And I did that. And then they make you look at your balance sheet to look at, all right, like, look how much money you've actually earned your entire life, and look at what do you have to show for it, you know? And whatever's there is whatever's there. Like, you can't run from that, and you can't hide from that. And that in itself is telling you your relationship with money in and of itself. And so
Your net worth, right, is how much debt you've taken on over time and all that. Yep.
All that. And so, like, for me, it was interesting. So for me, you know, it was, I don't know, when I started working after college, this is when I started tracking it. So I was like at 1.3 or 1.4, like, net $1 million earnings to me. and I have, maybe 30-40% of that left to show for it on my balance sheet. So I'm like, all right. I mean, that's not horrible. That I'm actually keeping, a significant amount of what I'm earning. And so for me, it's like, all right, I need to figure out how to increase the income, so I can keep accelerating that. But
that doesn't matter if you're W-2 or not. Like, I think it's an exercise anybody can do.
Anyone can do it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I apologize. I was going to say, I was just like the dollar per hour thing. I just think it's such a powerful exercise. Like I did it too after reading the book, just the back of a napkin, like made, let's say like 800 grand or something. And I worked X number of hours and my hourly rate's 300 or 350 or something like that was like what I calculated for me. Like the sort of core single family stuff that I do.
So you didn't count it on your other businesses though. You just counted it straight on the wholesale business.
I did just on the wholesale business. Yeah. I mean, I should do it total, as well, but I just kind of wanted to see like my most direct way to earn money, my sort of core thing. And like, I just thought it was helpful because it just gives you a benchmark that, below that you can hire it out. So, I mean, even if you're, so for example, like when I started, I was making a couple $100,000 a year in a sales job. And I had some money, so I kind of hired VAs and stuff to help me, pretty early in the process because I kind of knew what my time was worth. And so I think, Ryan, to your question about people who are sort of grinding and they're not getting anywhere, do the dollar per hour calculation for yourself, and below that amount, hire. Even if you feel like you're not quite ready to, or it's kind of a luxury or whatever, like hire, because a lot of times the really in the weeds stuff that is just part and parcel with starting a business or growing a business is stuff that saps a lot of our entrepreneur types energy that we don't like that. And so if you can justify to yourself by this dollar per hour calculation, hey, shit, I can hire a bunch of VAs, or I can hire even just a personal assistant that's local or something. That can sometimes, really, really accelerate and kind of help you break through, even if you really feel a little uncomfortable doing that.
And one thing I'll say to that too. So I actually did a money class for my team after I read this book, because after I read it, I was inspired. And I'm like, I know they all have money problems, and they bring that shit to work. And if I can get their money right, they're going to be more productive in work. And I'm just going to help them in their life, period. And that's one of the things that I'm not passionate about, buying deals or like negotiating deals. Like if I had to be in the front lines of my business, it's not something that excites me or lights me up, but improving the lives of the people on my team does. And one of the concepts that I was drilling into them, which is not a popular concept, but I think it's important for those who are out there grinding and feeling like life sucks. Well, your mind has been fucked by society. And what I mean by that is because we never feel that we have enough. And so for you to get in the right situation, in the right frame of mind, you have to start today to realize that you have enough, no matter what. Like we're 90% richer than, we're the top 10% richest country in the world, right? So we're ahead of 90% of the population. So we definitely have enough with our current income, but we're spending like we're not managing our money properly. Most people, we're spending, we're buying shit that we don't need. We're spending on shit that we really can't afford to spend. And we always have this, I don't have enough mentality. And I even caught myself with that the other day. Like I moved into my apartment and there's still a lot of stuff I got to get and I can afford it. But for me to afford it, I have to tap into my savings. I don't want to tap into my savings for this. I want to just get it little by little with my current income. So I was like, I kept telling myself psychologically, oh, I need this. I need A, I need B, I need C, I need D. And that need just creates this psychological pressure and this false notion that I don't have enough, that I don't have what I need, which is bullshit. I have what I need. I just want those things because for whatever reason I want them. But it's like, okay, I need to stop saying those words to myself, because every time I say that, I'm implying that I don't have enough. And so I think really just
consciously, Gabe, you go over to John's house in St. Pete, his new apartment, and you're like, holy crap, he just moved in. Look at all the stuff he has. And there's this great quote. I'm pretty sure it was in the book. And it said, men don't drive to become, they don't want to become rich. They just want to be richer than other men.
Right. And rich is basically
right.
perspective.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the word choice thing, Gabe, like you're saying, is so powerful. Like I've pretty much cut the word need out of my vocabulary, and even my mental, the way I think to myself about things, and also catch myself. And even like I need to work, or I need to go to get my dry cleaning. And like you're saying, Gabe, right? Or if I need to feel like I need to buy something, the reality is you don't ever need to do it. You're not going to die if you don't do it. You don't need to do it.
That's the real definition of need, right? Like, would you die if you don't get it, or would you suffer like really dire consequences for not like doing that?
Yeah.
You know?
And it's disempowering. Like I find the word now very disempowering, need, and having negative connotations to it. Whereas
there's this really good quote in our church that they use, and it says, having sufficient for your needs. And I like the word sufficient. It gives you a little bit of play on the needs, right? But that's the goal, like biblically even. It's like sufficient for your needs is what is important. But everything else is like, that's the luxury of having more money, as you get to fulfill some of your wants and your passions and outside of your needs, which I think is something that, you know, should be driving you.
It's fun. Yeah. And if you're creative, you know, you want to create. And like you said, we were talking about this the other day, Ryan, but money's fuel for creativity, right? But yeah, it's important to specify. It's important to differentiate those little subtle words, right? Like the need, and maybe frame it like I want, or I get to do this, right? But now it's like, okay, well, if I want this, like, what do I have to do to get it? Versus like, I can't get it right now, so there's not enough, you know. Now, you know, I need to do this, and this, and then you're coming from a place of lack or scarcity versus like abundance. Like, hey, you already have everything that you need to be successful, you know.
Well, yeah, I think it's a great place to end. I think it's been a really good episode for, you know, money and what it is, what it isn't, and hopefully it's given you, the listener, some food for thought.
Sounds good to me.
All right, guys. Well, enjoy your trip, John, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.
Later.
See ya.